Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest from Black Crown Initiate, Violent Portraits of a Doomed Escape, out August 7th on Century Media. The album has 9 tracks, 50 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. This album is, in one word, magnificent. Having said that, it took me a very long time to get to that point. The first couple of times that I went through the record, I really didn't connect with the album. I almost walked away from it. I just didn't feel that the music, the lyrics, the vocals, the structure, I just didn't feel like it was my cup of tea. There was something that was lacking. But at the same time, I felt that what was lacking was not really coming from the music, was coming from my lack of understanding of how this record is put together. So I decided to sit down with the lyrics, listen to the album again, and at that third time, I start to really connect with the record. And then the more that I listened to this album, the more I discovered from the album, the more my mind wandered within the album, the better I understood the structure, the songs, how they're put together, how this whole album comes to life. And now I cannot put it down. This is an absolutely magnificent record, really layered, it's really complex, and it takes a lot for the listener to really engage with it if you want to get the full experience that this album has to offer. Once I engaged with the record, once I understood in my mind what this record had in store for me, the first element that I noticed is the duality that this album has in the sound and then how it impacts the structure of the record. This is really an album that's divided into two different dimensions. It really feels like two polar opposite but still parallel dimensions that are divided in the middle with a track Bellow. A 2-minute atmospheric grunting vocal track. That was the first thing that I thought, that how different is this? How strange, how unique is this in the middle of a record that has this sort of sound, that has this sort of approach, that has this sort of structure. You would almost feel like this album would have an instrumental track in that spot in order to create that dip, in order to create that divide that really breaks the album into two. Instead of that, they went with the complete opposite of an instrumental track. They went with a vocal, grunting, heavy grunting track that really breaks the album into two. And then they close off the record with He Is the Path, a song that has a lot of atmospheric elements, super melodic, but it has some of the same key melody components from the opening of the record. So this is a song that doesn't give you that full circle effect. You don't feel like this song is connecting you with the first song of the album, but there are definitely some elements that are common with both tracks. So while it doesn't go full circle, it plays into the whole two-dimensional side of the album, where from every song on the first dimension of the record, there is almost a polar opposite song in the second dimension of the record. So from the first track, you have the last track. There are some elements at play that really bring these two songs together, and you can go down on every single song on the album and you'll find that parallel presence, either as far as the structure of the tracks are concerned, or as far as the melody or sound, or how the vocal approaches are done. You almost feel like there are these two polar opposite worlds at play, and one song is the mirror of the other in that polar opposite world. I really like that aspect of the record. I really love that structure of the album, and then I love how the sound and structure really pull at each other in order to create this very interesting dynamic. More into the sound, I have to say that the guitars on this record are absolutely phenomenal. I also enjoy the drums. The drums are very heavy at times and also super melodic in others. Really understanding the dynamic of the tracks, what they need from the drums in order to create that presence. But the guitars are absolutely phenomenal. Just phenomenal across every single song on this record. I love the sound, I love the melodies, I love the riffs. Everything that the guitars do on this album is just out of this world. Really intricate, really melodic, really layered, heavy at times as well. Just understanding the fluidity of the tracks, understanding the momentums of the songs, and then having that duality of aspects between the first half of the album and the second half of the album, carrying some of the same elements from one to the other and changing enough of it in order to create this Jekyll and Hyde, these two split personalities in these two split worlds. So everything surrounding the overall sound, either be from the drums or the guitars, it's absolutely phenomenal on this album, and definitely one of the highlights of the record. As far as vocals are concerned, the harsh vocals are incredible. They really add a lot of volume, they add a lot of heaviness, they add a lot of presence. But I cannot walk away from this review without saying that the clean vocals are brilliant. Haunting, brilliant. I love the melody that they have. I love the atmosphere that they bring to the songs, and they also work extremely well in that duality of worlds between the first half of the record and the second half of the record, using some of the same deliveries and the same tones, just in a different structural piece of the song, if you will, but still connecting these two worlds, connecting songs together just by using a similar delivery, a similar style, a similar melody. The clean vocals, just brilliant on this album. Overall, like I said, this is a magnificent record, super complex, and perhaps one of the most complex and intricate albums that I've heard this year. When you look at the musical side of things, when you look at the vocal side of things, and definitely the overall structure that this album has to offer. Really interesting. I really feel like I'm listening to the same record in two different playing fields, in two different places at the same time. Just incredible how they divided the record and they were able to create these two different worlds with songs interconnecting across those two worlds. Now, as far as tracks are concerned, I want to start off with Son of War, a dark, somber underbelly that has a lot of melody, and then in that melody you have a lot of darkness, and the vocals come in and they add into that darkness. The song stays very linear and cohesive throughout, always keeping that dark and somber approach, never really changing too much. The atmosphere of the song never really gets affected, or it never goes into a different arena. It really stays linear and cohesive all the way from the beginning to the end. The clean vocals, in my opinion, add a little bit of light into the track. Every time they come in, you really feel like the door is open or the windows are open and the sun is shining all the way in, bringing in some light into the overall darkness and the real somber mood that this track has. So that to me is a nice change. It breaks the song. It gives you a feeling of ups and downs as you're going through the track. The drums behind the clean vocals ensure that the track stays heavy even at its most melodic point. So I really like that aspect on this song, that they kept the drums super heavy, super powerful, super intense, and put the clean vocals on top of it in order to really create this sense of melody, but never taking away the heaviness that the track has. This provides stability. It provides a musical stability to the way the song is constructed, to the way the song is put together, and allows the vocals to have dynamic changes, to go into different places, to try different things, and overall still keep the song very balanced all the way through. The next track, Trauma Bonds, it has a melodic opening, peaceful and absolutely beautiful melodic opening. The harsh vocals bring in a lot of heaviness, and the clean vocals bring in a lot of melody and atmosphere to the way this song is constructed. The song comes in waves, and it really feels that way. It really blends these two worlds, the world of heaviness and the world of melody, and it alternates the two and adds some melancholy into the middle, mixing all of these different elements throughout, and it really merges them really well. And I think the time where you really notice that merger is towards the end of the song, when you really feel like these two worlds are absolutely intertwined and they come at you as one. And they come at you as one with clean vocals and backing vocals of harsh vocals in the background to add more layers, to add more volume, to add more presence, to add more thickness. And at that point you really feel like this is a song that was coming in waves all the way throughout, that has a roller coaster ride feel, up and down, up and down. But when it gets to the last third of the track, these two worlds absolutely merge into one, and then it becomes just straight to the point, really moving straight forward, giving you those two elements that were present in turns throughout the track, but now simultaneously all the way towards the end. Last but not least, definitely not least, Death Comes in Reverse. This is my favorite track on the album, and if there's a track that really explains or it really gives you a glimpse of what this album is all about, is the title of this song. It is this song. Because everything seems like one is the reverse of the other. One half of the album is the reverse of the other. It all depends on which half you consider that it came first and which one you consider that came second. So I really enjoy this song from all of those aspects, the underlining aspects that impact the overall feel of the record, but the song itself is absolutely magnificent. Very melancholic, very dynamic, uses a lot of different vocal approaches throughout. Perhaps one of the songs that uses the most different styles and the most different deliveries of any other track on this album, and all of those different deliveries, all of those different styles really match the melancholy and darkness that this track has from the beginning all the way to the end. The clean vocals are outstanding. The harsh vocals, once again in the background, really add some intensity to it. They really add some energy into it, and definitely a track that really becomes this layer upon layer upon layer, with vocals, guitars, drums, everything adding into each other and really creating this really dynamic sound. And the clean vocals absolutely explode onto the track. Every time the clean vocals come into this song, you just feel chills, because they have such an impact. There's such a strength to them, but at the same time, the melody and melancholy and the somber darkness that they carry every time they come forward is just absolutely chilling and beautiful at the same time. Just a very complete, very robust, very layered track, all the way from the beginning to the end. I love how it's put together, I love how it's structured, and I love how it's delivered. My opinion, the best song on the album. This is it. This is Black Crown Initiate, Violent Portraits of a Doomed Escape. Once again, out August 7th on Century Media Records. Let me know your thoughts on the album, on the singles. Use the comment section. I'll be looking forward to reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.